Hey y'all, and welcome to the first ever episode of the UniSFA podcast. So, the idea for the UniSFA podcast has been floating around for a few years, and I thought it was finally time to get it running, and I'm really excited that we've started. So, just to catch you all up to speed on what the podcast actually is and the plan for it going forward, this should hopefully be a weekly podcast where me, John, and my good buddy Cam sit down with a past or current UniSFA member and just talk about stuff. Primarily sci-fi and fantasy, of course, but really I'm not planning on setting any barriers, anything as long as it's a good time. Also, I'm not an expert on any of this, so if you have any thoughts or feedback, please do share just by posting it on Discord or Facebook, preferably adding me or finding some other way for me to see it, but if not, I'm sure I'll see it. I monitor them a lot. Anyway, for this first episode, we have on no other than our good buddy and resident UniSFA dad, Ed. Enjoy!
How about we just fucking talk about Lancer for like 3 hours?
What the hell is Lancer?
Good question, John. Let's go. All right. 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
What? No, we've already started.
Oh, we're starting now? Okay, that bit's going to sound great.
What is Lancer?
Lancer is an RPG. I don't know if it's by Abaddon, the creator of Kill 6 Billion Demons, or if Abaddon's just deeply involved. But it's mechs. It's all kinds of mechs. It's very cool.
Specifically, it's sort of 4 different subgenres of mechs.
Yeah, but
So
they're
you've
all
got-
together.
You're
Yeah, you've
telling
got,
me
like-
this guy killed 6 billion demons and then went and made an RPG?
Kill 6 Billion Demons is a webcomic.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's the name of the main character.
Mr. Kill 6 billion demons.
Mrs.
Kill 6 billion demons.
Ms.
Actually, yeah.
Ms. Kill 6 billion demons.
Allison can choose this. Yeah, that's Allison's name.
Allison Kill 6 billion demons name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
McSurname, yeah.
McSurname.
Of the McSurnames.
From the McSurname family.
The clan, yeah.
The dynasty?
Yeah, McSurname dynasty.
Is it dynasty or dynasty?
Oh, it's whatever you want, bud. Yeah, there are 4 major branches of mechs, which is, that's always fun.
Yeah, you've got your scrapyard mechs, which are sort of like we threw together all this different space technology to make, a functional thing for surviving in this hellish world.
Hey, we've noticed that you've had piracy problems unrelated to us. Would you like some mechs to help deal with the piracy problem?
Unrelated to us?
We promise.
Promise to give you the mechs or promise it's unrelated?
The fact that piracy arrived shortly before we did, trying to sell you mechs, is a coincidence.
Number 2,
I
of
believe him.
course,
He's trustworthy.
is... Okay, so, guys, there's this genre of, cartoons. It's called anime. And anime has, a lot of mechs in it. And they all look like anime mechs. I don't know if you, the viewer at home or on the bus, know what an anime mech
and
looks
nowhere
like.
else.
But these things look like anime mechs. Evangelions, Gundams, all that sort of, sleek sci-fi kind of.
Oh my god,
looking thing.
Evangelions? Like from Evangelion? Like the show?
Yeah.
Fuck. Sorry,
And-
I'm just trying to relate this to any media I know, which is not a lot of media.
That's true. We have dived into something here that John knows fuck all about.
I do
I
know
think-
a little
What's
bit
our
about...
swearing policy? We should discuss this live.
Our swearing policy is fuck it.
All right, good. That's
Okay.
the best swearing policy.
Yeah. Well, I think that introducing someone to something live on air is hilarious in a podcast format. I'm a big fan of Adeptus Ridiculous, which basically do that with 140k. So yeah,
I've never listened to a
the
podcast
third sort
in
of
my life.
genre of mechs they've got is Lovecraftian Cthulhu tech nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Horoscorp is really... They have nanobots, they have... You're just fucking browsing the internet, watching your favorite streamer, and someone's like, "Hey kid, you want a mech?" And then they hit 3 poggers, and you're like, "Okay, what does that mean?"
wait.
And then your printer starts printing, and you're like, "What? What's
What's
happening
the name
on
of
my
this corporate?
printer?"
Was it Horrors Corp?
Horus,
Horus, not
like
Horrors
the
Corp.
ancient Greek god,
Not like...
like the Primarch.
Yeah, I was thinking... Like
I'm saying the
Warhammer.
word horse, but wrong.
I thought you said horrors, like, hey guys,
yeah,
we're the
no.
Horror
That would be
Corporation.
very
They are
funny.
horrors.
Unspeakable horrors.
So yeah, just a bit of context here. The universe runs on 3D printing in this.
Yeah, everything 3D prints.
Everyone's got plenty of resources. It's sci-fi and post-capitalist and all that sort of stuff. So everyone just, you don't have scarcity of resources. You have scarcity of what to do with them. So it's all about getting your hands on the advanced blueprints.
Oh, that's cool.
And Horus Corp will just say, "Hey kid, want to be able to 3D print Cthulhu?" And then just download that to your
I
computer.
do. As a matter of fact, I do.
Yeah, here's a swarm of grey goo in roughly the shape of a large man. It will beat up things.
Or just, or here's a time-traveling gun. We never built this gun, but because it's time-traveling, it has always existed and always will. And it has shot everything in the universe at some point in time.
The gun is already
So you
here.
just, take it into combat, and the things will be shot. We didn't see it fire any bullets. It probably didn't even fire bullets, but because of time, things will be shot.
Yeah, the Horus, the Pegasus mech, I think it is, has a gun. It says the word gun 3 or 4 times in one of its descriptors where it should give descriptions that are useful. This gun has the text, "This damage cannot be prevented by any rule in this book or any other book." It's book agnostic.
Yeah.
If the Pegasus
What
shoots
if it's
at you...
what if it's like a PDF?
No,
What if they record a podcast of? What if we on this podcast
No,
right now?
the Pegasus can hurt you right now. It's not even an attack. It damages you. It's not an attack.
If this podcast shuts off unexpectedly, it's because the Pegasus got us.
Yeah, the
Assume
Pegasus-
the Pegasus got
Yeah,
us.
if it activates its core power, it can do this 3 times a turn and just kill all 3 of us in this room instantly.
UniSFA podcast is under threat.
It is.
And then
At all times.
the fourth kind of
Oh,
mech.
fuck, there's a fourth kind.
War
Yeah.
crime cubes.
Yeah, it's Titanfall.
Yeah.
It's
It's all war crimes, though.
yeah,
It's Titanfall. It doesn't exist
Yeah,
anymore.
they create.
You can't play with them.
Yeah, it's just heavy duty industrial mechs. And viewers, I am making air quotes as I say industrial. It's like
this is
we made this to clear large areas of foliage.
Anti-foliage mech.
So
this
that's
mech's
why,
only job is to do gardening, and for that it needs excessive coolant.
and flamethrowers because flame is very good.
No,
against
that's a plant clearing device. That's not a flamethrower.
Right.
Can I ask for clarification here? Are people counted as foliage?
No, we would never use this on people. That would be a crime.
No, anyway, we're just gonna erase this little section of the data log. Don't worry. What that hangar was full of foliage.
That town of foliage.
They
Yes.
really needed their landscaping done down there. Those rebels.
So yeah, the 4 genres of mech:
Pity it
anime,
happened.
Cthulhu, war crimes, and junkyard.
The 4 genders of mech. Cam has just coughed away
Yeah,
from
sorry,
the mic.
friends.
That's very considerate of you. I've just
Holy shit!
Well done.
that was unscripted, folks.
I've just coughed into the mic. That was not very considerate of me.
We're podcasters professionally. We're getting paid.
Wait,
We're not getting paid.
I'm getting
this is
paid.
just that one fucking meme of wait, you guys are getting paid?
No.
Yes.
None of us are getting paid. for
I'm
this
getting
thing.
paid.
I don't know. I've been really excited about Lancer lately.
That
so I
seems
figured
pretty.
I'd go
That seems
into it
pretty
with that.
fun. Like that just seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, you build like a little dude and you get your mech. Everyone starts off with the same mech, but eventually you get fucked up mechs and you
Yeah,
can
because
combine
it's
shit.
as I said, it's not about getting the resources; it's about getting the blueprints.
Oh yeah.
And this actually,
Ed directly into the mic.
this actually leads sort of into one trope that I am a little bit worried about because I'm only just now getting into Lancer. I've read through the PDF once or twice. I haven't really gotten to grips with how all the mechanics interact. The problem is, well, first mistake, I went on Reddit.
The first mistake for a lot of things.
And then I, looked at the Lancer subreddit, and there were a bunch of jokes about basically Tortuga with a machine gun. Tortuga being
Tortuga.
one of the types of mech.
I am going to overheat my core and I'm going to use that power to do damage.
Yeah, so basically,
Hey, why have I exploded?
one of the
Nuclear
mechs is
check.
called the Tortuga, and there were a bunch of memes about how it's basically Lancer's version of the Skyrim Stealth Archer, which is everyone starts off thinking they're going to make this cool build, but they gravitate to the Tortuga because it's super efficient and really
You're going to
good
be
and
getting heat
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
You may
it's-
as well use it.
it's good in every situation. And that really bummed me out because I was reading through it and thinking, oh, Tortuga looks like a really cool sort of the visual design of this is cool and I like the kind of guns it's using. I might, if I can get a game together, I might play a Tortuga.
For our viewers at home and on the bus, You don't know what the Tortuga looks like, and that's your problem.
I don't either. I'm going to search it up.
Yeah, like it's basically just sort of like a chunky.
Ed,
like
you cannot describe a mech over voice, man.
I'm going to try.
You're never going to succeed.
Okay,
It's got a lot of like plates and bags on it. It looks like it's packed a backpack.
got
It
some
looks
hook
like
swords.
it's packed a backpack, and then it's packed a backpack for its
It's got a big,
forearms, its
chunky
upper
neck.
arms, its knees, its legs. It looks like it's.
It's got utility pouches.
It does look like
okay?
it's got like ballet shoes on. It does
I'm
a
not looking
little.
at visual
And
reference.
so this is giving me some fucking flashbacks, okay? Because I
you
got into
thought that the Stealth Archer was unique.
I got into Skyrim and having like read Ranger's Apprentice by John Flanagan, and like I was like, I really love Rangers, and Rangers do stealth and archery. I'm going to play Skyrim as a stealth/archer. I'm betting that's going to be like a really cool and unique playstyle. But no, it's really overpowered, and everyone memes on it, and like I understand hipsters now is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I did it before it was cool.
I was
I
gonna
wanted
say
to
you
play a
do sound
Tortuga
like a
before
hipster.
I found out they were fucking busted.
Yeah, no, see, I'm about synergy. I'm trying to plan the perfect party. It definitely has a what's it called? It's never going to happen. Move on.
I'm trying to. I'm about knowledge. I'm trying to understand what the fuck is going on in this game.
I'm basically saying that like I don't want to play overpowered stuff because people will think I'm playing it because it's overpowered and I'm a power gamer. I'm not. I'm quite like a role player. I like to optimize my role plays, but like if it coincidentally happens to be the most powerful choice, that makes me feel bad because it makes people aren't going to think I'm doing it as a role playing choice.
I do think that part of the design of Lancer, a game I haven't played, so take this with a grain of salt, but it does seem to be intentionally a game where you do get multiple mechs over time, and it is a game about crafting a build. Like, yes, you will go the Tortuga, but where you take it is different, and you can build many different kinds of Tortuga.
Fair enough.
Going back to what you were saying, I think I'm like you, Ed. I also hate, building the meta thing, the most powerful thing. I want to do my own unique, cool thing. But also, I'm a lot more of a competitive power gamer. I've played too many online multiplayer games to the fact that, I've realized this
If there's a best choice, you want to take it.
Yeah, I realized this very recently playing Destiny 2 PvP, of, I'm trying to play, we're all Destiny 2 players here.
We are.
So I'm trying to play, whatever guns I have, and then I'm just fuck it, and I'll just buy, the best hand cannon, and just,
Ace of Spades, baby!
Yeah, I'm just Ace of Spadesing now.
See, if I was to say the, easy to use but try hard-ish gun, I would say the Dead Man's Tale.
Yeah.
I didn't have Dead Man's Tale unlocked. I do have it now, and it feels...
Dead Man's is a lot of work to get to work, and it's not in the best state it's ever been.
Fair enough.
It's, for the audience at home, I'm sure and on the bus, you know exactly what we're talking about with the Dead Man's Tale, a game from Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Not a gun from Destiny 2.
The Dead Man's Tale is like a cowboy gun. The Ace of Spades is
I mean, they're all cowboy guns.
They're all kind of cowboy
it's about
guns.
cowboys
I tried
in
using
space.
the last
That's the
word,
game.
which is
Every
very
gun is a cowboy gun if you're shooting it and you're a cowboy.
Every gun is a cowboy gun if you're shooting and you're hitting, so most of them aren't cowboy guns.
You are
I'm
right.
Playing.
Last word is a more cowboy gun than most.
It's true.
It's also not a cowboy gun that I can't hit with it.
Oh no, that's not just you. That's everyone.
Fair enough. Okay,
we've gone off track, but it's been fun.
we've gone off track. Ed, okay.
Yes.
Here's another. I've read a little note. I've been writing
that's
notes
all good.
over this week about things to talk about, and one of the things you brought up sometime this week was you have thoughts about Cyberpunk 2077.
I do?
Do you? You said you did.
Well, I mean, I've played
About
the game.
the story.
I've got a lot of... Okay, so number one thing about the story...
Okay, are we going to spoiler territory?
It's a game that nobody who hasn't played it is going to play. That's
It's
not
true.
true. It's a game that nobody wants to play.
It's a game that I feel like it's the pinnacle of games that people want to play, but not yet because they want them to fix it / add more stuff.
That's fair.
I feel like the entire plot of Cyberpunk has entered cultural consciousness entirely through Keanu Reeves memes.
I didn't know. Maybe I feel like you can see the memes without knowing the plot.
So Keanu Reeves is intricately linked with Cyberpunk as a concept because of the Matrix as well. It's not just Cyberpunk. Well, it's not just Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk as a genre has existed long before, but The Matrix did a lot of damage to it.
Cyberpunk in the world of Cyberpunk, the genre of Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact, actually.
Keanu plays John Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves is obviously, like, Keanu Reeves, the real-world actor, is playing Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
But fun fact, Keanu Reeves actually canonically exists in the world of Cyberpunk 2077.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk was canonically like an actor who got like really rich off of playing Johnny Silverhand because of his uncanny resemblance.
That's really
very
funny.
fun.
Yeah,
that's great.
because like Johnny Silverhand like was a character in movies and such.
So you're telling me Keanu is real, but in 2077, not in like 2020?
In 2077.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's like
What
a
makes
modern
someone
day
a
actor
criminal?
for them.
Yeah.
Neat. They've time traveled Keanu.
Getting
Well,
caught.
to be fair,
Just like Bill and Ted.
Keanu Reeves has
I haven't
made
seen that
movies in the last few years. You're making
Prove
it
it.
sound like Keanu Reeves is no longer an actor in the year of our Lord 2022.
Yeah, no, I mean that I don't think Keanu will be an actor in the year of our Lord 2077.
Oh yeah, no. It's
He's
in like
he might be immortal, but I think he'll have to pivot his fucking job by then.
Keanu Reeves dies 2070. 2077, this new actor singer comes onto the scene. Shwani Goldhand.
I have no idea where you're going with this.
Hey y'all, it's me Button Post again. For the next 22 minutes, there is some major spoilers for Cyberpunk 2077. They're pretty vague for the most part, but if you desperately want to avoid spoilers for that game, then just jump ahead that much. 22 minutes. See ya!
But yeah, my biggest complaint about the plot of Cyberpunk 2077 is that
Spoilers, probably.
yes, absolutely spoilers.
Absolutely spoilers.
And
Go
even
play
worse than spoilers, I'm about to use a fancy technical term for game design. Ludonarrative dissonance.
I love ludonarrative.
it. What?
So, John, and our viewers at
Oh,
home.
we can't be the
And
ones to
on the
explain
bus.
ludonarrative dissonance to people. That's not for us to do.
I'm going to explain ludonarrative dissonance.
All right, I can't stop you.
So, ludonarrative is when the story and the gameplay line up. Like, if you're playing like a game about someone who's struggling to, survive, if your character is just running around without a care in the world in the game, then the gameplay is not lining up with the story.
I would like
but
to
if it's a game about scavenging resources and like crafting like basic tools and such, then your gameplay is lining up with the story, and that's ludonarrative.
You defined ludonarrative dissonance, and you don't even need to tell me
What's
what your complaint
ludonarrative?
is. I immediately know what your problem is with Cyberpunk.
So yeah, the ludonarrative dissonance of Cyberpunk 2077 is that you are playing a person with a terminal injury. You are actively dying with every second in the game, in the story.
But you're leveling up and getting stronger throughout the game.
Yeah, and
You're
also,
not really acting like you're injured.
and also, like solid 90% of the side quests only become available to you once you have received your life-threatening injury. And so,
I'm now going to choose to go and do 14 irrelevant tasks.
yeah, exactly. Like you get out of
doesn't seem
hospital.
like a major spoiler.
You are told unless you find like an experimental cure to your injury, you are going to die soon. And if I was in that situation, or like frankly, as every character who
Cannot
like
imagine
talks about
being
you
put
in
into a
that
situation.
situation acts, you are, well, you should be doing everything in your power and nothing but that to
Priorities.
find that cure. But instead, it's a game about just like wandering around without a care in the world, being a cyberpunk guy.
I've read a really interesting article which is kind of related to this, and it's from someone who's recently diagnosed with cancer, and how they kind of connect to the characters to like playing Cyberpunk, and how it like, both
You do want to distract yourself in some ways.
you do kind of want to distract yourself. I can't remember the full article. It's by Gene Park, great games
But I mean-
journalist. It's out there somewhere. I found it a very interesting read. Just kind of like, it's not all about like their lives filled with treatment and like, concerned family members and whatnot. And it's kind of, I don't know, they're able to kind of connect to the game. And
I feel that. But on the other hand, I do feel like I haven't played this game or read that article, but it's not from my understanding, that experimental cure does just sort of work, right?
Spoilers.
Fair enough. No,
Okay.
it's fair. I don't need to know this.
I don't know. I find major
the
spoilers. I
motivation's
find
a
the
little all
ending
over
of
the place
Cyberpunk 2077. I like it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty bittersweet. He doesn't get fully better in any version of it. I'm
No,
afraid.
there's
that's fine.
three. There's three main endings. There's some secret endings.
Yeah.
But most of the secret endings are just you die.
That makes sense.
What was I gonna say?
Would you like me to?
No, I find Cyberpunk 2077 really interesting because, like, as an RPG, I went into it with like, my character's gonna be a good guy, and I'm gonna like change. I can't wait to like change the city and like try and make a positive impact. Like, I'm very used to playing like Dishonored and stuff.
You think they had time to program in changing the city? You think you can have an effect on the environment?
Not the environment itself, but just like I'm gonna make a positive impact. People, I was used to playing
You
Dishonored
can
and
impact the situation?
I was used to playing Dishonored and BioShock, which are games with like morality systems, right?
Morality systems.
But I think, I get to the end and I'm like, my cat, like, there's no benefit from like being a pacifist apart from certain quests, and there's like,
it's just sort of neat.
you can't really change the world. You can like make some relationships, you can affect your own life, but you can't change the world.
It's very
at all.
Cyberpunk.
It's very Cyberpunk. That was exactly what I was going to say.
actually-
May I? Sorry,
Yeah, you
not
go ahead.
in the way that is good. Because it's very like surface level Cyberpunk, which is my problem in general with video game RPGs. I'm going to be the elitist I love to be now.
Go for it.
Video game RPGs aren't very good. Just none of them.
It's true.
You can't make decisions. They can be, at best, they're a glorified visual novel with some mechanics, which is not a problem. A lot of people really like visual novels, but that doesn't make a good RPG. They're a different thing. I've tried playing Disco Elysium. I love the game as a concept. I love
played
the
it yet.
stories
Please
that
don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil anything. Don't worry. It's a really neat game, and if you can stomach video game RPGs, it'd be a wonderful game to play. It's a beautiful story from what I can tell. I can't play it because I make decisions that are not available, and then get annoyed that I can't take them. It's
Fair enough.
Disco Elysium has probably gotten closer than any RPG I've ever played to actually achieving that, in that there were very rarely...
Oh yeah, it's the best I've seen, and it still can't do it.
Also, like, seeing as how you are role-playing as this guy, like, I do feel like you're not a blank slate.
That's
you're,
true.
Baby.
You're one of...
I do find that also to be difficult in that I'm not role-playing my character, I'm role-playing a different character that I don't necessarily like role-playing as.
Yeah, it's true.
I like him as a character, but not necessarily as one to embody in that way.
Yeah, it did click for me, and I did like always find the dialogue choices were a reasonable selection of things that this character might be saying in this situation.
I've just realized that every time I breathe out through my nose, it's audible.
Yeah.
It's fine. We'll fix it in post. Cam, would you say you've been spoilt by TTRPGs?
Yes, hard yes. I'm also the fucking worst in TTRPGs for the same reason. I have unconventional solutions to problems. In a session of a game I was in the other night, one of the other party members said, it's time for diplomacy, Cam. The Cam who is right, but fucking stop it.
Oh, that's excellent. Who said that?
I think that was Chase.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, yeah.
First
shout out to
official
Chase.
friend of the show, yeah. Shout out to Chase. Come on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, no, I think about things and I come up with answers that are like, you can't disagree with me. I'm right. They work. But you can't plan for that.
That is sort of a strength and a weakness of
It
tabletop
is.
role-playing games. A big part of why that's also a weakness is that it very often devolves into everyone just talking about what their next move should be 4 hours at a time.
Oh my god.
And
this
no
happened
one being
exactly at my
decisive.
last RPG session.
I think that's only... Okay, in my opinion, that's only a problem in combat. I think if you spend 4 hours discussing the morality of your next move, you're having a fucking great time.
Okay, that's
It depends on
one
the game you're
possible
trying
thing.
to play.
Like, in a game I was in just yesterday, we spent 2 hours debating whether or not to open a door.
Yeah, no, that's a
Wow.
little fucking silly.
Yeah. That wasn't very fun, to be honest. I really hope you don't hear this, Nicole.
No,
Nicole,
like,
friend of the show.
It wasn't your fault.
it does happen. Is the thing you do get stuck on stuff. It comes down to like, and as well, it's a thing to learn as a GM and as a player. You gotta pick your battles with taking time to do stuff. Sometimes you gotta just say, "I'm opening the door. You can't stop me."
It's true.
That's fair. I think you'd probably frustrate me because as a GM, I don't know, I plan things out like I'm making like a little video game level.
Oh yeah, you're fucked.
I'm like, here's the mission, and here is like the 3 different ways I might expect the players to do this.
Yeah, I'm taking your options as like first principle points, and I'm going to like extract some kind of solution that
Cam,
you don't
I need
like.
to play a TTRPG with you. I think
It's
that's good.
fucked up.
The advantage of thinking like Cam, though, is that Cam is prepared for Cam.
I'm
In that,
ready
like,
for me.
If someone thinks of like a Cam tier creative option, like solution to a problem,
It can work.
Cam will be able to roll with that, and he won't be caught too off guard.
Yeah.
The classic example I always use is in a game that Cam was GMing once. This was a medieval game, and no one in the world except for like the secret underground society had ever heard of guns.
Yeah, it's L5R. It's
Yeah.
a feudal Japanish setting.
So
Guns are a thing, but they're illegal and secret.
yeah, and so our characters are at a banquet when all of a sudden there is a incredibly loud noise and someone falls over. We look up into the roofs and see someone in the rafters with some kind of staff, and we're like, must be a wizard of some kind. We need to get that guy and get his staff off him. And
Fucking Dave.
there were a bunch of ways we could have, gone about this. We could have like tracked the wizard. We could have like sealed the exits.
You had a horse specialist. You could have chased the fucker down off those rooftops, but no. Fucking Dave just slaps his hands into the rice paper walls and starts climbing.
Jesus Christ.
He, like the party member with the highest strength score just used the walls as handholds because his fists were harder than the wood.
I don't think this counts as a me type like solution. That's a pretty I'm scaling a wall, especially because again it was an interior wall, so it was made of rice paper with a wooden frame. You can climb that. That was not unexpected.
I'd like to apologize approximately 2 minutes ago for like 2 random bumps you may have heard. Anyway, continue.
You'll fix them in post.
Yeah,
I'll
those were
fix them
just
in
the
post.
murders.
I apologize for nothing.
We're gonna have to cut out
nothing.
everything that Doug says.
That's true. That's true.
You got a lot of work ahead of you.
Doug, could you shut the fuck up? He's crying.
Sorry,
now.
don't worry. We
I
never
have to
mentioned
cut a
Doug.
lot of
No,
crying
Doug.
out.
All right.
Can I get back to Cyberpunk? I still have
Yeah,
things
no,
to say.
sorry.
Okay, so
yeah.
another thing about Cyberpunk. Sorry, you asked me the question, my guy.
Okay, yeah. You can keep going about Cyberpunk.
So the Cyberpunk, the biggest issue I had with how the world was presented was that most of your mercenary bounties were against like relatively minor characters in the world given to you by more important characters. Or in the worst case of this, just you doing bounty hunting for the police. Cyberpunk is very much about being the little guy who is getting oppressed by, gigantic, monolithic, faceless corporations and authorities that are just processing so much data that you're barely a blip on their screen. They're just crushing you automatically because the algorithm told them to.
What's that small game developer working for the large company? You want this to have anti-large company sentiment? Fucking think about that before you put it in.
So yeah,
Remember your paycheck.
There are just so many missions in Cyberpunk where it's like, yes, this small criminal has dared to mess with the police in some way. The police are hiring you to go and fix this. And, obviously, that is a thing that exists in Cyberpunk. But the idea of, Cyberpunk being a very punk and radical,
Yeah, the word punk means something.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very anti-establishment genre, and you being literally a tool of law enforcement for most of the game is
I don't know if
really at
it's
odds
most
with
of the
that.
game. I interpret it just there are some missions which are police, but it's mostly just I interpret it as the police being we've got a lot on our plate right now, and we're willing to just put some bounties out there. You know, put a little wanted, put the digital Cyberpunk equivalent of a wanted poster. If someone could go and like fuck these guys shit up, we'll pay you so we don't have to do it.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm saying it really clashes with the theme of you being like anti-establishment when your primary employer is the establishment.
I don't know if it's your primary employer.
It really is. If you look at all the missions.
Really?
I feel like
because you get a lot from like just random, like,
chuckle
random
fucks.
Chuckle fucks. Yeah, that's the term.
That's the technical term.
The term chuckle fucks. No, they're like the
Fixers.
What's the cyberpunk fixers? Thank you.
Okay. Look, from an outside perspective, I think anytime you get given quests a lot as like a core mechanic, that's someone else's story, right? If you're getting given a side quest that's not relevant to you in some way, that can work if it's telling a story, but if it's not telling a story, if it's just a mission, that's not RPG food to me. That's play a linear game. If you're going to do mission design, you can do mission design, but as a story to tell, if it's not about the story you're telling, why tell it?
I don't know.
It can be done well.
I really enjoyed some of the side quests in Cyberpunk because, you know, you being a mercenary, you know, people be like, hey, can you do this job for me for money? And you're like, fuck, I'll do anything for money, man. It's Cyberpunk. And then you go kind of get a little cut into a section of the world or a section of people who live in this world that like...
Yeah, man, you need to be a cyberpunk to be stuck like that, hey?
Yeah, when Cyberpunk's writing is at its best, it is incredible. There is nothing else like it. Cyberpunk may have the highest compliment I could ever give a loot-based RPG, which is that there was a mission where I flat out ran past loot because I just wanted to get to the objective.
Which mission was
it? It was the one where
I've done every side quest.
It was the one where you're rescuing, I believe her name was Evelyn from the scavs. Ooh. You arrive at the warehouse and basically all you needed to know was...
You're trying to rescue someone.
Yeah,
You've got your priorities.
This person had been kidnapped. We had hours of god-tier writing developing our relationship with this person. There was legendary loot dropping out of these guys, but the fact was I was at one end of this warehouse, she was at the other, and there was no force of god or man that was going to slow me down between A and B.
Except, of course, lag.
Except it's an offline game. There's no...
You think that'll stop it from like lagging?
That's a good
from
point.
frame
It
dropping?
is Cyberpunk.
It's Cyberpunk 2077.
Is very, very bad technically.
The game is stuttering, and that's going to slow you down.
Maybe just get a better
power
PC,
beyond man
guys.
or God.
I don't know. Some other missions I really liked is there's a character in it. I can't remember her name. What's the character that's like that works with Evelyn at the very start? Judy? Was it?
What? The nightclub lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Judy.
Judy. So Judy's plot lines, because Judy's one of like the kind of main NPCs. You know what's a main NPC because they're romanceable. And following Judy's plot line is just her constantly trying to like do a thing or like succeed at something and then failing. I don't know if there's a single mission in the game which like she actually gets ahead. It's just she's at a point and then it slowly keeps going down until she's like, fuck this, I'm just leaving the city. Which I think is very Cyberpunk. She's a very lovable character and everything just goes wrong. She's just fucked over at every point. Which I think is very Cyberpunk. There's like no happy ending there.
Sorry.
I also love some of the... Can I tell my favorite Cyberpunk side quests?
Yeah.
So, have you done every side quest, Ed?
I think so.
Okay, well, this one starts with, there are 2 police officers knocking at your neighbor's apartment. Do you remember this?
Yes, but I don't think I got that quest to completion, just because I failed
it's
it.
So good. So, basically, they're knocking at the door, and you're like, what's going on? And these 2 police officers are like, our friend buddy, a buddy friend police officer guy, he lives here, and he can't responded for days. We're concerned about him. So you like knock on the door. You have to be like, hey neighbor. He's like, what? Who the fuck is this? Because you don't talk to your neighbors. You're Mr. Cyberpunk. And you're like, hey neighbor.
You don't live in a society.
Remember the time we
had cops knock on our door?
Yeah, something like that. Remember the time we had a barbecue? You know, who fucking knows? He eventually lets you in, and you like have a talk to him. You figure out he's really really depressed because his best friend just died. His friend was really old, and you kind of figure out, that's the guy he talked to all the time, That's the guy he talked to. He was his best friend. He didn't talk to anyone else. He could always go to this guy, and you figure out also that his cop buddies are shit friends. He's like, can you talk to your other friends? And one of them's like this hyper-masculine guy you can't talk to. And the other one's just kind of doesn't really care. Kind of insensitive. Not great to talk to. So you have to kind of explain that a little to the friends. And there's an optional bit of the quest, which I wish wasn't optional, which is you can go to the grave of this friend. You go there, you read this very long passage of text, and you find at the very end his best friend was a tortoise. And you have to go back to the thing and be like, guys, your friend here, the only person he had to talk to about anything was a fucking tortoise. Be better friends. That was the whole quest. The whole quest was like talking to a guy about his depression, and then finding out his best friend was a tortoise.
Now, I don't know about Cyberpunk specifically, but in a lot of Cyberpunk genres, there are, like, uplifted animals and things.
No, it was just a regular tortoise.
It wasn't like the tortoise pope from Elden
It wasn't
Ring?
a tortoise. It was just like his pet tortoise.
I just want to think about the tortoise pope from Elden Ring for a second.
Sorry, most species are extinct in Cyberpunk, so, like, having a exotic animal of any kind is a big deal.
No, that's true.
Like, one of the 3 possible opening missions is you conspired with your best friend to steal the last iguana.
Oh yeah, I remember this. I did this opening.
Yeah,
mission.
all right.
Yeah. So, John, was that what you were going to bring up about Cyberpunk earlier?
I can keep talking about Cyberpunk. The terminal illness thing. That I was following Cyberpunk a bit, and like that plot twist at the very start kind of gut punched me emotionally. Like I was like, fuck, shit, I was not expecting that. What your best friend dies at the start. It's in the trailer. It's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
it still hit me. It still hit me because I didn't think. I was like, it's just the trailer.
I suppose.
But I can keep talking about. I can talk about the ending. I can talk about.
Let's not talk about the ending.
I don't know. The ending still has that emotional gut punch to me.
Well, that and also I've only experienced one ending.
Well, I
have played none of this game.
So the thing at the very end, major spoilers. At the very end, right?
Ed did just say he'd prefer not to be spoiled.
Oh, would you know? Well,
I'd like to avoid this.
I'm not saying the specific, like the choices you get at the end, because you kind of get a choice of what to do.
It's rough terrain.
Yeah, do we have any other topics we could move on to, maybe?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I could just keep talking about Cyberpunk. I won't. The next thing is just burgers.
Fucking burgers.
Fucking
all right.
Oh,
burgers.
is this about my
Burgers.
theory on why there's no burgers in sci-fi?
Yes, bring that up.
People that live in burgs.
Okay, so we've had plenty of trope discussions in the past, and one thing I brought up was, someone else brought up that we don't see many burgers in science fiction.
It's true.
And
I think I've had this discussion with you.
Yeah, and the explanation I gave was primarily because of Cyberpunk, but spilling out into broader sci-fi.
It's anime's fault, yeah.
Yeah, well, that and also...
A lot of things are anime's fault.
Well, sorry, I've got to collect my words for this, because it's a pretty technical explanation.
That's fine. I have not been collecting my words at any point during this podcast, as a lot of my Cyberpunk talk is evident.
That's right, I have a broom, I'm going to collect them all at the end.
As sci-fi really came into its own, and a lot of the really classic and genre-defining stories were happening, Southeast Asia was in the middle of a massive technological and economic boom. Now, that sort of leveled off at this point as sort of the world sort of evened out technologically as communications got better. But at the time, there was quite a lot of expectation that the Southeast Asian countries would become the dominant economic and cultural power of the world above the United States. And as a result, that's influenced a lot of sci-fi at the time, which portrayed the world of the future as being mostly, well, I mean, you've seen Cyberpunk. It's all like kanji neon signs and people calling themselves samurai, even though they're nowhere fucking near Japan or Japanese culture. And a big part of that
Weebs.
was, the food, sushi and noodles and such. And that's sort of found its way into broader sci-fi, where a lot of the time, if you see an alien, culture, oftentimes their food will resemble either noodles or sushi, but very rarely burgers, because the sci-fi that sort of was the foundations of the genre was sort of avoiding that at the time.
Thus concludes our section on burgers. No,
I think I can jump off this one and move it into Cyberpunk as well. It was also about like the fear of losing that culture. It's that a burger is it's meat, it's fresh vegetables, it's bread. Those are all things that you're not going to get those anymore. We don't have cows anymore. You've got to have something else that's easier to get hold of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a fear of losing. Just agriculture as an industry becomes like vat-grown soy, which was, again, it was an Asian thing, but it was also representative of a cultural fear.
Are you saying the cultural fear of losing like meat and vegetables, or the cultural fear of like being taken over by these cultures?
It's both. It's both.
Yeah, things can be more than one trope at the same time.
Yeah, well, they're related in this case, but because a lot of Cyberpunk is we lose that connection with nature as an issue with it because everything is so forced hyper-growth expansion economically. It's more efficient to like vat grow pastes. Yeah, it's more efficient to like store noodles forever.
As I mentioned with Cyberpunk 2077, like animals are rare, and having like a wild animal that isn't one of the couple of sort of urban species is considered quite a status symbol.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Does anyone have anything else to say on the topic of burgers?
Cheesed burger.
Pickle.
Oh, fuck yeah, pickle.
It is interesting, though, because of this, the flip side has sort of become anything that's recognizably American in science fiction has become really American.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the trope of, like, the over-the-top space American has become a very recognizable thing.
Fuck yeah, America.
Good old Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
The next... There's some. I've got some funny notes here. Notably, the last one. The next one is favorite media in the club room, where we are right now. Is that book, TV show, or movie?
Hold on. Now I have to stand up.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have. No, don't stand up. You should just know.
Zero preparation. 6,000
How long
books.
have you been here, Cam? How long have you been in UniSFA?
I've been here too long to have a favorite thing.
It's true. We have. I'm afraid you're in the room with two like chill dads. We have mellowed out. We enjoy a variety of things.
I have a fine veneer of chill beneath like a raging turmoil of inability to have a favorite anything. I can't fucking do it. I've expressed this before. It cannot be done.
We can, of course, fall back on our mutual like drawing into this world, which was the Cosmere.
Yeah,
yes.
That's fair.
I was gonna say I'm more of a dad who consumes so little media or so specific that I could give you my top 5 favorite things and it would be a list of 4 things.
Oh, like to be clear, I keep a list of like everything I enjoy.
Jackie Chan.
Just because I like.
It just can't be done. You can't do it.
You good, guys?
We're fine.
Yeah, like I have always found myself being put very on the spot when I'm asked to like name things I like because my mind goes blank, So if you give me a minute or two while you guys cover this up, I can get out the list of things Ed Cameron likes.
It is a real and long list.
Cam, what was the name of the video with the Jackie Chan bit?
It's just name 5 things that aren't Jackie Chan.
Name 5 things that aren't Jackie Chan. Search it up.
Well, things that aren't Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan, front of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm currently here, which is... I said, what's your favorite thing in the club room?
I can confirm he is currently over there.
I'm currently just like looking back and forth in my mind's eye between The Way of Kings and the Homestuck book.
I'll admit that's my like primary 2 zones at the moment. If I was going to like lean into something,
Ed, is yours also The Way of Kings and Homestuck?
No, I'm gonna lean off and go with the Dresden Files, just so we've got one each.
All right.
Okay, Cam, are you covering Way of Kings or Homestuck?
Jesus, man, don't do this to me. I could talk about either of those for a very long time.
You can cover both. I'll just sit here and watch.
All right, well, how about we go Way of Kings for now? Because I think I think if we open Homestuck, right? If we go Homestuck day one, they're not ready.
Okay, I feel like we end Way of Kings. Because currently we have one
We're
Dresden
not
Filer,
gonna stop
two
doing this
Homestucks,
ever.
and 3 Way of Kingsers.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, how long are we planning for this to go?
We're planning on this podcast should... Listeners, please don't hold us to us. This podcast should be an hour to an hour and a half long, and it's currently 42-ish minutes.
Whoa,
With a lot of cuts to be done,
we're
I suppose.
halfway there.
No, this was...
They
Listeners,
cut out
there was
a
a
quarter
lot...
of that for Doug?
Fucking Doug. Oh, get out of here, man.
Oh dear.
42 minutes, uncut.
All right. Jesus.
Okay, so
I pause the stopwatch every time Doug talks.
We need a chair. We need someone to keep us on topic with like a stick.
the Way of Kings. Let's talk about that. Was there anything in particular you wanted to ask us about it, or were you just saying like name
yes.
a favorite book?
I was just saying favorite, and then
Because
we
that's
can
a very
discuss it.
broad topic.
My
I like
favorite.
that. Oh, you go.
My favorite part of the Way of Kings is the guy Kaladin. He's cool. I
He
like
is.
him.
I like that in the most recent book, it's really gone out of its way to be like, this is not just a story where mental illness features. This is a story about mental illness. I like that.
Okay,
It's true.
We've gone on to the topic Rhythm of War. Maybe we should have just said the Stormlight Archive and not the Way of Kings.
I think that's what I assumed.
That's what I assumed as well, but the viewers might be confused. Viewers, we're talking about the Stormlight Archive, the epic fantasy series by Brandon Sanderson.
Currently at book 4 of 10.
Book
Yep.
4 of 10. When's it going to be? It's like once every 3 years, so it's going to be done in like 20 years.
We're never going to be finished here.
No, we're going to be finished.
That's true. He writes very fast.
He's got a plan. It's like 1.5 years non-Stormlight, 1.5 years Stormlight.
Also, sometimes he'll just turn up with a spare book.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think it's a bit of a broad topic to just say discuss your favorite book. Because there's a lot of things that go into it that make
There's
it my
a
favorite.
lot of favorite.
It also runs the risk of we are either recommending a book or we're talking about something that people don't know.
It's true.
I think that's inevitable on this podcast.
A
We
little
have
bit.
just talked about Cyberpunk 2077 for 20 minutes.
Yeah, we have.
And how would you recommend the Stormlight Archive? I'm a fresh-faced young Unis fan. I blow air in UniSFA, cold air.
Hold on.
Unis fan.
Oh, I get it. Oh, dear. I am out of touch and
Out of
not as
time?
funny as I once was.
It's Tuesday, Ed.
But yeah, the Stormlight Archives is above anything else. It's some of the most well thought out world building I've ever seen.
It is.
Just because, a lot of fantasy sort of takes cultures and then just makes their closest fantasy equivalent. You know, in a lot of fantasy books, you'll open it up and say like, oh yeah, these guys are obviously like Romans with the labels taken off. These guys are Egyptians, but like slightly different.
It's Lord of the Ring.
Yeah, but the Stormlight Archives, I will say everything is original. Like,
I mean, there's definitely inspirations taken.
Certainly,
and
but-
directly stated, but yes, they are used very well and in ways that are new culturally, at least.
yeah, it's as culturally distinct as it can possibly be while you have humans doing stuff.
Yeah.
There are only a finite number of ways for humans to organize themselves doing stuff.
I disagree. I think you can get more.
Yeah.
I think that
Anyways.
there's a finite number of ways that you can put in a book without it getting unpleasant to read.
But yeah, even if individual customs, you can kind of find a real world equivalent. The fact of the matter is, it's not like one culture except slightly fantasyfied. It's like
it's a proper mixing pot. for
dozens
each
of
culture.
customs from dozens of different cultures mashed together in a way that makes them work and seem like, yeah, these do form one coherent overculture. Obvious example being the Alethi, who are sort of the main culture you see in the books, have all these different customs, and they all make sense in how the world is built, and none of them really make you think, oh yeah, they're just the fantasy version of X. Like,
They have a
Yeah.
base in Korea. They are Korean inspired initially, but they have come a long way before we've read the books, before we got the books, like during the writing process.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were based on Korea.
Oh,
That's
definitely.
very interesting, yeah.
And another interesting thing is that you see from the point of view of the characters, and Sanderson is smart enough to write the characters with their in-world knowledge. They don't think it's weird when someone does something that would be weird for someone in our world to do.
It's normal that everything here is crabs and slime.
Yeah, if it's normal in their world, they're gonna think it's normal.
Yeah.
And this is actually, like, a lot of people don't realize that most of the cultures in the Stormlight Archives have epicanthic folds, which is sort of that, like, eye shape that's very common in Southeast Asia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
here we go.
Because, like, people don't go, like, the narrators...
It's notable when people don't for them.
Yeah, the narrators don't say, like, yes, I'm going to describe this person in my head. Yeah, he's got epicanthic folds. That stands out. Because everyone he knows does. It's just how eyes are shaped to him. And then when he meets a Shin, who is someone from,
Shinovar.
the other side of the continent, and he comments on how
Fucked
strange...
up that Shinovar has grass and birds. Absolutely terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. Shinovar is weird and different. And the people there have, like, strange features, and then you realize, hang on, these people actually look, pretty regular. They're just, like, these
They're
people
so
just
pale, yeah.
yeah, these people look a lot like, well, I could probably pass as Shin, but they look very strange and different to these people because they're seeing it from their own point of view.
For listeners at home and on the bus who can't see Ed right now, he kind of looks like a Shin from the Stormlight Archive.
Ed
if you
looks
wanna imagine.
exactly like an accountant.
He does.
Ouch.
And a dad.
Yeah, he's off-duty accountant.
Look, I've been told I look like a tech bro. I can't tell which is the most insulting.
I think they are similar looks.
Yeah, it's all in the glasses.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was not looking at your current clothes, which do push you further to tech, bro.
Fair enough. But yeah, and so yeah, that's the biggest thing I will say about Sanderson. Like, he's got a lot of strengths, but the number one thing is he has thought about all the stuff in relation to how he builds his worlds, and he makes it fit together in a very smooth way, and he communicates that very well to the reader. So if it's not so much a character, there are some great characters, but the number one reason I would recommend the Stormlight Archives is for the world building.
My opinion on that, as someone who got really into the Stormlight Archive, the whole Cosmere, through reading Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight Archive, a couple of years ago, is fuck that. The characters are amazing, and that's what pulled me in. I didn't really, I don't know if I paid attention to the cultures too much. I just really wanted to see what this little boy, little slave boy, was gonna do each chapter.
See, I got stuck when there was power armor in a fantasy setting, and also big fucking crabs. They knew what I wanted, and it's power armor and crabs.
You are a big fan of crabs.
Power armor is basically just becoming a crab.
It's
Like,
true.
when you think about it, what do you get? The armor? You get the ability to do clamps with your hands? You're just a crab now.
You can do
An
that with your
exoskeleton
regular hands.
with a hard
No,
shell.
I can't
What's-
clamp with these things.
Cam,
soft.
are medieval knights crabs?
Only a little bit?
What's the difference between a medieval knight and a power armor?
What's the power in it? It's
What's the
it's the power, mate.
What's the difference in the crabness?
Oh, and the crab's cool.
No, like, what makes power armor more crab than a medieval
It's
knight?
thicker.
It's chunkier.
Crab.
Cam, if I put on a lot of
It's more
t-shirts-
evolved. And if you evolve something more, it becomes more crab-like.
That's a good point.
That is, yeah.
Power
no,
armor is
that's
the evolution
that's
of
an
armor,
established
therefore
thing.
it is more of a crab.
I'm doing hand movements which express my.
He's lying to you.
I'm lying to you.
John does not have arms or legs.
Doug stole them.
Don't let him trick you.
Me and Cam, as we have now just discussed one of our favorite medias, the Stormlight Archive. Ed, you're free to finally have your say on one of your favorite medias, like the
Okay.
Dresden Files.
So I have chosen as my show and tell the Dresden Files. The Dresden Files.
Sorry to keep you waiting there with me and Cam's discussion of the Stormlight Archive.
The Dresden Files is very much a book that's really good if you come at it from one angle, but really bad if you come at it from the wrong angle. And that is because the Dresden Files features a deeply unreliable narrator.
Also, like, hard pivot, you gotta be careful. First book's called Stormfront, it's a red flag. It doesn't mean anything. It wasn't the connotation it had then, but boy.
Yeah. John, do you know what he's talking about?
No.
I don't want to go into that now.
It sounds like something
if you
we
want.
do not want to go into. Continue with your talk on Dresden
basically,
Files.
one of the titles has accidentally acquired the same name as bad people you don't want to associate yourselves with.
Okay, then. I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, so thing about the Dresden Files is the main character is fucked up. Like, he was raised by a dark wizard to be, his dark wizard apprentice, killed his master in self-defense with a forbidden spell that got him the death penalty.
Understandable. It's not a spell the Jedi
I'm
would have taught him.
glad. Yeah, I was going to be like, is this Kylo Ren?
No. And now he was spared because it was self-defense, but now he's basically been told you are one infraction away from, us just showing up and wizard executing
The
you.
Wizard Council obliterates you as a free action, yeah.
Yes, and so he's deeply mistrusted by most of his community. He can't really interact with the wider world because he's a wizard and everyone else isn't.
Yeah, anything beyond the technological level of 2 rocks starts to fucking die around him.
Yeah, because he like wizards like slightly alter the laws of physics around. So if you've got a very precision machine, like a computer, wizards will just cause your computer to melt down.
Man has the
very
absolute
sick.
fucking worst car
Yeah,
because it's the only car that can go.
and
Fucking Flintstone mobile.
yep. So he basically spends his time like getting what wizard jobs he can, and like fighting random horrible monsters that prey on wizards and such. And as a result, he is deeply socially maladapted. And so the way he describes conversations, the way he describes other people, don't really match what's actually going on, and you really need to approach it from that. Otherwise, well, he sees himself as a noir protagonist because he works as a private eye a bit. And the thing about noir is it's got some cool aesthetics and all, but it's not great with women. And
Yeah, Harry Dresden bad with women.
yeah, Harry Dresden is very much the dame walked into my office. She had legs for days, and I looked at her tits immediately.
It's me, Kylo Ren. It's the noir
And-
setting.
She has legs in all the right places.
And so yeah, he's not a creep, but he is weird with women.
He is a weirdo.
And this was something that happened in the first book or two. Then the author kind of realized, okay, I wasn't intending to write this as an actual part. It was just supposed to be, Dresden being fucked up. But readers are kind of reading this unironically, and now I've created a story that's a bit sexist. And he has very much pivoted that. Harry is still Harry Dresden, by the way. I sometimes call him Harry, sometimes Dresden. He's
That's how names work.
very much recovering from this. He's not changing overnight, but he's gotten a bit more social as he's integrated himself into his band of friends that solve wizard crimes together. And his friends call him out on his bad opinions and weird views. And most importantly, he gets into some shit because of it. Because there's all kinds of, supernaturally pretty fae folk out there, or vampires or whatever. And they know, here's this guy who is, very not used to having women be nice to him. Let's just send an incredibly supernaturally pretty fae woman to go oh no, there's been this crime committed. Who will help me, this poor maiden? And he immediately just runs off to fuck with whatever scheme these guys need foiling.
Oh my god.
White Knight complex.
Yeah, exactly. He is straight up called a white knight.
Harry
complex.
Dresden, incel.
Oh god,
The
you
incel
didn't
files.
have
He's
to
not. He's
say
not.
the word.
But I was the vibe I was getting for a bit there.
Kylo Ren from the Dresden Files.
Oh, the Force is so strong in me.
I want to talk to women, but I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here.
You ever see me without this hat? No, that's weird.
I'm weird.
So yeah, I am very much not a spokesperson for women, and I don't. Which is how I'd like to start this sentence.
He's not a spokesperson against women either, I want to clarify. He's just not qualified to speak for women.
Ambivalent.
Dude, I was in the middle of a joke. I can't just leave it off here.
No, but as your friends, we have to interrupt and make this as difficult as possible to get through. Ed
this
Cameron
was supposed
does
to be
not
like
speak for all
a
women.
one-line joke that didn't get weird.
Ed
and
does
now
not
it's
speak for
weird.
women or jokes.
Oh, brutal.
Anyway, I was iffy about the Dresden Files for quite a while, just because, like, even though, like, it does a lot of work to fix the depictions of sexism, I wasn't sure if, like, is it enough? Is it still weird? But I've got quite a few friends of various and sundry genders who have all like said, yeah, it's crossed the threshold, so I'm going to take their word for it and relay their word to you guys. So it's a pretty good wizard book.
The issues with the book are not book-stoppingly shitty.
Yeah.
They are things that are like looked into and acknowledged. That's always important.
Yeah.
The most recent sci-fi I read, I think, is Dune, so I know about that.
Oh god.
Boy, Dune though.
Haven't read it.
You know what? Okay, I have a bit I want to go on here.
Okay, take us on the ride. I'm strapped in.
I tried reading Dune before when I was younger, and it was dry. It was dry as hell. It's the sand.
Is that the whole bit?
No. I considered stopping it there, but I have
This
things
is like
to say.
This is the little.
It
the
still
little
is
dip in
dry.
the roller coaster before we get to the
Yeah,
loop.
that was a little intro joke before I say something that isn't a joke. Dune is still very dry. It's not bad. I hadn't realized just how much all sci-fi cribs Dune. Like, all fantasy is Lord of the Rings with some shit taped on. All sci-fi since Dune is just Dune. And that's not all sci-fi, but certainly a lot of the sci-fi I've read. 40K it's Dune. Star Wars is Dune. It's all Dune. It absolutely annihilated the genre. Dune is the Evangelion of sci-fi.
What's the Evangelion?
Well, Evangelion is the Evangelion of mech shows. It just, and anime in general, probably. It fucking damaged the whole landscape. You can't make a mech show without Evangelion being either there directly or there through its absence. It's an intentional choice not to make it Evangelion now if you make a mech show.
I can get that.
And now if you,
And speaking of, like, something else that Dune has in common with Evangelion is it very much, like, Dune and Evangelion were both, here's our weird and fucked up, like, world and storyline that is weird and fucked up.
And everyone's like, oh, that's cool, let's put that in without questioning it.
Yeah, and then it got a million copycats which like, yes, here's our world which is like that, except we're not going to present it as weird and fucked up. We're going to present it as cool and not a problem.
Yeah, somehow 40K managed to like dodge that by being like, here's what if we made it more fucked up, which I respect.
Yeah.
You do get people who miss that, but that's on them.
People miss that the world of 40K is fucked up.
God,
there's
man.
motherfuckers out there who think that, what's his name, Homelander from The Boys is a good dude and is the real protagonist.
Yeah,
Have you seen The Boys?
I have not seen The Boys.
Right.
Is Homelander one of the boys?
So what if Superman, like, just glared at you in a way that it was very clear that he does not value your life?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, Superman imagine if Superman saved people because he likes it when the media calls him a cool guy, but, like, he doesn't, like, actually care about people, and he will just kill if it's funny.
Like
Guys, this Homelander guy doesn't sound good. He might be a bit fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty clear from the show. You would think that would be understandable, but it's not. It's apparently not. There are motherfuckers out there with no reading comprehension, and then they start watching stuff.
Okay, so my favorite example of this from 40K, a few years back, there was a story called Consequences, which should tell you what kind of story it's going to be from the title alone.
It isn't the consequences of...
So,
Consequences
here's the thing.
will never be the same.
The most popular, like, faction in Warhammer 40K is the Astartes, or Space Marines.
Wrong, it's my dad.
What?
And
I'm starting to lose it,
And
fellas.
the Astartes are like, the super soldier enforcers of this horrifying, oppressive,
Right.
authoritarian.
And
I
Cam's
think
dad.
I might actually, before we go into the Astartes, I think we do have to give the generic 40k intro. What the fuck is an Astartes? It's a goddamn space marine. These things are the most overbuilt, like, pricks you've ever seen. In any given which sci-fi setting wins, it's usually these pricks, because they're, like 40k is stupid. It doesn't care. It's over the top in every way. The only thing keeping its power level back is the fact that it has to be grim and rough to be in still, so the humanity is scary as shit, but everyone else is more scary. Space Marines are 8 feet tall, have 2 hearts and 3 or 4 lungs. They can all spit acid. They have metal coating their bones and an exoskeleton attached to their regular skeleton. Like, their ribs fuse into a plate to protect their organs. They fire fully automatic explosive rounds that can check when they're in a thing before they explode. These guys are fucking terrifying, right?
So yeah,
Jesus.
And they are the enforcers of a incredibly authoritarian, like,
I wouldn't say they're the enforcers, because there are enforcers. They've got cops and they've got like secret police.
well, they are the
hyper shock troops.
They are the shock troops, and
because they've got shock
the
troops. is the thing.
spearhead of like this horrifying, authoritarian, genocidal sci-fi regime. Literally, this universe is where we get the word grimdark from.
Yes, it is
Like-
from the 40k rulebook opening that's been there since one of the earlier editions.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. So, anyway, a lot of people see this and think, wow, so Space Marines are cool and special and the good guys.
Why
because
did no one tell me they could spit acid? I didn't know that.
It's only one of their minor modifications. If they eat your brain, they can eat some of your memories.
Oh, like the zombies from Warm Bodies?
Yeah, just like that.
Just like that.
So, yeah, consequences, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
This short story about... So, these guys are, horrifying and authoritarian and genocidal and fascist and theocratic and all those bad stuff. Everything bad is dialed to 11. So, these guys are being delivered... A squad of Astartes are being delivered to their army by the only faction in the entire thing which are more powerful than the Astartes, which is the Emperor's personal guard. And they get there and they find out, oh no, the army they were supposed to join has, fallen to corruption and chaos. Chaos being literally the forces of hell, because this is science fantasy. And the Emperor's personal guard basically say, you're under arrest for being associated with these guys, drop your weapons, you're probably going to get the death penalty for just being associated with these guys. And they're like, what? No, this is bullshit. We haven't even met these guys. And then, so like, we're not surrendering. And then the Emperor's personal guard just fucking slaughter the Astartes like the Astartes would slaughter regular foot soldiers if the Astartes were in the exact same situation. And people lost their shit. Because people were just reading 40k as, wow, these cool super soldiers are doing cool super soldier stuff, and it's cool and not, like, grimdark at all. And then the Astartes got a taste of their own grimdarkness, and people were legitimately, like, all over forums raging about, like, how dare... Like, they were clearly in the right. Why were they killed by this oppressive and genocidal regime?
I think part of this, though, is the framing of it, because Space Marines are dialed up to 11 in every way, and yes, they represent, in some ways, the worst parts of the Imperium of Man, but they also represent, in some ways, some of the better parts of the Imperium of Man. Their nobility is dialed up as well. They are seen as angels, and that's for a reason. They are choosing to do something fucking awful to themselves in a relatively selfless way. They are not... They're not generally, like, soldiers. They are monks. They are a quasi-religious order, sometimes fully religious, sometimes completely atheist. It depends on the specific politics in general, which is a big deal in the setting, because not being part of the core religion is not necessarily illegal, but certainly you can be killed for it. The Space Marines are the knights in shining armor of the setting. And Custodes, the Emperor's personal guard, came in and became the Knightser in shining armor of the setting, which was a little jarring for folks, especially as Custodes for a while were meant to be like, yeah, they're cool, they're more powerful than Space Marines, everyone's fine with that, as long as they sit there and on Earth and protect the Emperor's throne. Once they go out and start doing shit, I can see people being upset. And again, like, what they're upset about, or what they're saying they're upset about, is a little silly. That's the setting has always been brutal, even to Space Marines. They've never had a good time.
This surprises this as someone who doesn't know too much about Warhammer. I know a decent amount of Warhammer lore for someone who doesn't really play Warhammer.
There's so much, John.
I know some very basic Warhammer lore. I feel like surely people who had committed enough to go online, go on Reddit and talk about it would have like heard the one fact I have of like the Emperor takes 1,000 souls a day to keep alive.
Oh, those are psychers. They don't count.
What?
So the Emperor, he's in a life support chair. Some human beings, are born with the psyker gene. They can do wizard things. Now, because this is a horrifying setting, wizardry involves channeling hell through your mind. It's not good for you. It's not good to be around. It's very useful though. So I think children
that's just how it works in real life too. Like channeling hell through your mind is
that's
really
how I do it.
Thing.
But yeah, so any children from any planet in the Imperium, like every planet gets visited by the black ships, who basically just yoink up anyone with psychic potential and take them to be trained. And if they're too weak, instead of training you, they feed you directly to the Emperor, and he just absorbs you. This keeps him alive. Keeps the big lighthouse in hell going. That's important. If the lighthouse goes down, we don't know where we are.
I mean, presumably hell.
Exactly, but if you have to travel through hell as part of space travel, you want to like know how to get back out.
Yeah, you need the Astronomicon. It keeps you able to navigate fast.
You don't want to hit the hell rocks. That's why you need.
You wouldn't want to bump into the hell storms. There's also another like rare human mutation, the Navigator gene, which gives you a third eye that lets you look into hell without like immediately going completely bonkers. They've formed like little family dynasties of like trying to keep that gene to themselves with all of the horrors that implies. And so they're the only people that can navigate ships properly through hell. They're navigators, just like in Dune. Just like Dune's navigators, they can navigate.
And we've come full circle.
Full fucking circle,
full
baby.
Circle.
Absolutely.
No, but full circle for the last like 10 minutes of this hours-long podcast. Yeah. The Emperor, he eats those psychers, but that's something that you could much more easily argue is necessary and good. And again, I don't think that's necessarily true, but you can make that argument easily. These psychers were weak enough that they weren't going to be able to provide a service as psychers, but strong enough that they're dangerous to have around. And what the Emperor is doing is very important. If it was... Yeah, it's one of those things that's not considered one of the big evils the Emperor does. That's considered... Especially because he's sort of sitting there. People are doing that for him. He doesn't really have anything to do with it. The Emperor is a weird case. Because he's effectively dead, a lot gets done in his name, but when he was alive and kicking, he sort of also sucked. What if a Reddit atheist from like 2012 was infinitely powerful? Like he was like straight up religion wrong, bad. Let's not even like think about it. We're gonna go humans only. Any aliens bad. Let's go kick every alien out of the galaxy, and then we'll live in blissful scientific knowledge. And then he got beaten up real bad, and a religion got made out of him.
You can make a religion out of this.
Yeah, and they did, and he hates it.
I mean, why is
he's objectively a deity now in terms of... I mean, he would argue that he's a large warp presence and that like none of the Chaos Gods are real, but that's because he's a fucking weenie. He's also world's worst dad. We're talking, you can give this man a world's greatest dad mug because he has earned it the only way you can, by not being it. His son's a whole mess. Yeah. But we'll get to those at a later episode.
A later episode of this UniSFA.
Cam talks about the Primarchs
podcast.
for 5 days.
5 days.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, so basically the overarching theme of what we've been talking about with these couple of different sci-fi universes is some people just read like over the top, badass, also grimdark sci-fi, and they only see the badass. They and then they kind of freak out when they are forced to accept that it is also grimdark.
Yeah, I don't know. That particular case, I don't know too much about because I'm not a redditor. Ladies, wait, get in line.
Hey, I never said this was a Reddit story.
No, but you did say like active on Reddit. This was a bit. This was a dumb bit. It's okay, ladies. Do not get in line, please.
Fuck, they're already at the door,
Jesus
Cam.
Christ.
Cam,
God.
Doug's holding them back.
That's all right. Doug can hold the door for a bit. Ah, Christ.
I think that leads us perfectly.
Yep.
Grimdark stories, into our discussion of Homestuck.
Yeah, all right. Grimbark is a word from Homestuck.
And Grimdark.
Grimdark to get said as well.
And
That's good.
Warhammers.
Yeah, there is a Warhammer in there. I was always disappointed.
Is there
about the Warhammer.
40,000 years?
Oh, look, probably not.
At some point there would be.
I don't know about that. There's like 40,000 pages. More than that, right? I don't know how many pages there are on Homestuck. There's a lot of them.
8,130 exactly. You can.
There's 40,000 words definitely then.
Yeah. 40,000
All of them
pages. Good. Huh? Every single word in Homestuck is good,
good,
except for the ones which are objectively terrible.
Oh yeah, no, we don't talk about those words.
We
You can mod them out now.
We can literally mod them out now.
Homestuck's moddable. I'm losing my mind, fellas.
I think we should add realistic graphics mods to Homestuck.
Yeah, that's. Ooh. I'm
like, what if Homestuck was the exact same, but it had ultra realistic textures? But the art style.
The art style's
change.
the same, but everything's like it's got skin.
Yeah, it's got skin.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I'll pay it.
The skin is still like perfect white though.
Okay.
White, not as in like Caucasian, as in like literally the color
it's,
white.
It's a placeholder neutral color.
We're not going here. We're not okay. I was going to say except when it's not, but then
except for that one page. But fuck.
Fuck.
Peachy.
Oh no. For
God.
all our readers who haven't read Homestuck, go read it.
Yeah, all of our
also
readers
don't.
of this podcast, fuckers that read podcasts, rise up, fellas.
All of the people reading the transcript of this podcast.
Are we going to do a transcript? I would prefer not to because I can't read.
I mean, we know transcript, we know assist script, like...
We should probably have scripted this. All right.
We should have wrote a 1 hour, 13-minute script, yeah.
Oh, that would be pretty good.
1 hour, 14 minutes. Is this where we call it? Is this where we call it discussing the worst parts of Homestuck?
I think we've dug ourselves a grave there, and I think we do have to stick in it. I don't think I have the ability to say more useful or funny words in me.
Perhaps in future we should record this during the day rather than after the sun has set.
That's a great idea.
It's possible.
It's possible. Look,
I've got to figure out how to sit without my neck annihilating itself.
This podcast is what we like to call a working a WIP, a working podcast.
Well, yeah, work in progress.
Working podcast.
Work
going
in
out.
progress.
It's a working class podcast. It goes out every day.
God damn.
Got in the podcast.
We're releasing these every day, John? We're going to do this tomorrow?
Tomorrow, guys.
Oh, God.
It's a working class podcast. It goes out every day in the podcast minds to provide for its podcast family. It's podcast.
All right, I'm unable to prevent dead air at this point, man. I don't have the reaction speed anymore.
Yeah.
What do you mean? The podcast ended 5 minutes ago. Okay,
Oh,
see
thank
you,
Christ.
everyone. Bye.
All right, good night, friends. We'll see you next
See you
week.
guys. Oh, Jesus.